Wait, it's not even recording.
Yeah, it is.
Or is it?
No, you're on the camera. No, you put it on the camera because you wouldn't do it over there off camera. So now you're going to do it. You're going to jump up down. And get the boobies bouncing. You're going to shake your head a little bit too. And swivel those hips. You're going to shake this right leg. You're going to shake that left leg. You're going to do the stinky leg. Do the stinky leg. Do the stinky leg. Do the stinky leg. And cross him. Oh, and cross him. Oh, and cross him. Oh, And you're going to jog on the spot. You're going to jog on the spot. You're going to get a little bit faster. You're going to get a little bit faster. You're going to get a little bit faster. Oh my God, it's a lion! A lion's coming! A lion's coming! You better run! You gotta run! And then there's a fence. And then there's another fence. And then you're going to get in a car like it's GTA. And then it's What's the Crack podcast, baby.
Hello.
Hi.
Some of that?
Ande, 감사합니다. What do you need? Oh. Clever.
It's true. I am.
I'm a bit out of breath, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I hope that lion was really
It
coming
was the
for
lion,
you.
yeah. I really embodied the lion coming after me. I saw it. It had fangs and sharp claws. But we made it. Good job. Luckily there was that GTA car there just ready for us to get in.
So lucky.
And then you get in it and then transport to the sofa. It's very safe.
Normally it's, occupado because the prostitutes.
Occupied. Like little GTA hack, I don't know if you ever did this, but what you do, pick up the prostitutes, take them down the alley, yeah, pay them, obviously do the buck wow, the no pants dance, and then as they get out, cap an arse in them, cap a bus one in their ass, yeah, and then you get the peas back.
Oh.
Sometimes even more if they've been busy.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's like a win-win. Do you know what I mean?
Until you want to do the no pants dance again, there's no one
there's
there.
loads of them.
Okay.
There's loads. They're computer generated. They come back the next day. It's a sure way to make money.
So no prostitutes were harmed in the making of this
No,
gangster.
No. This I don't think people do it in real life. I hope. I think although the business is illegitimate, I don't think the way they transact is mostly. Sex slavery is a thing. We're not going to talk about that today. So what's the crack?
There has been a lot of things this week that I've seen. But let me read something to you.
Yes.
And you tell me what you think of this.
Okay.
So I read a story today. I read a little clip of a story, basically, where a man called Sheldon Thomas spent 19 years... Sheldon. Spent 19 years in prison.
For the name? I'm right, aren't I?
Not quite. Although
okay.
He was wrongfully convicted of murder after cops knowingly used a photo of a different black man with the same name in a photo array, and a witness identified him, and the judge then said in an appeal court that it didn't matter because they looked alike.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. That's actually fucked up.
Like, you look the same, so it's obviously you. What about the original guy who
Don't worry about the actual murderer. We'll just put you in prison because you look like him. They're all the same. They look alike. They must do the same crimes too. If it's not one of them, if it's not this one, it's one of them. Fuck it.
It's one less black man off the road.
Let me guess, that was a southern state.
It doesn't actually say.
I'm going to put money on it. We'll do some after credits research and we'll find out. Probably a southern state. That's like To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just got wrongfully imprisoned for doing a crime it didn't commit.
No way.
But institutional racism, it is a thing. We can pretend that the world is all rainbows and butterflies, and it's not just towards black people. It's every race that there is that we like to identify as there's discrimination, unfortunately, and especially in the judicial system. It's fucked up.
Interesting. Yeah.
Imagine
Yeah.
spending 19 years in prison for a
For something
crime
you
that
did not
you know
do.
that you did not do. I'm like, that man's a saint. I honestly would I would kill everyone. I would be in there on a rampage. I wouldn't really. I'd be crying in the corner like, let me out, please. I didn't do it. Ask my mom. Ask my mommy. Please. But like the level of injustice is just crazy. And I bet, obviously, it came to light that they used a different picture. The judge, how did they get the information about the judge just putting him in prison because they looked alike? Did he go to prison for that? Because is that not a crime? Wrongfully imprisoning someone on the fucking basis.
Yeah, you know what? I wonder about this sometimes because there's been loads of these scenarios where someone's been wrongfully convicted. But what happens for the people who showed neglect in that process?
I don't think there's any repercussions. Like if we're in the court of law, let's say I'm the judge, someone's done a crime and I've put you into prison for it. Turns out new evidence has come out. I was wrong. My judgment was wrong. It turns out you weren't the criminal. That's it. Sorry, we'll let you out. There's no compensation. There's no like, let's say you've got a full-time job and you've gone to prison for 5 years. There's no like loss of funds. Like, we've got to pay you the difference of what you would have earned.
I think you have to sue the people individually to get the money.
Which of course costs money, and most people probably don't have the funds to do it because you're going up against the court. They have unlimited funds. Do you know what I mean? You need
the court and the police force because the police force doesn't do the investigation properly.
You need a hell of a lot of money because like we were talking about in the other podcast, money talks in law.
Yeah,
it's whoever has the most money. So if you can't match the court and the police, there's no point even trying. Even if you've got a solid case, they're just going to bury you in paperwork.
Unless you get some really good like lawyer who does it on pro bono, says I know we're going to win this case, so I'll do it for you.
Something like that for sure.
I know we're going to win, so I'll do it for you. You just pay me once you got the money, and if you don't win, which is unlikely, I'll do it for free.
For sure, because it's like negligence, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's a hard one.
I also feel like in America, they're like, how court cases are decided doesn't make any sense. It really just depends how the judge is feeling that day.
Good mood, I'll let you off, kid. Bad mood, you're going to prison for that parking ticket, sir.
Because there's like these little videos you see, like I don't know if it's a TV show or what, but there's like videos that you see on like Twitter and Instagram and TikTok where like someone will come in for like some sort of like petty crime, not even petty crime, like a fine or something that's like escalated and they're hundreds of pounds now, hundreds of dollars now, and like the judge always just does them a solid and is like, you know what, it's okay, I'm gonna wipe it down. You only got to pay $50. And you go after your kid. Like they're like little wholesome moments from judges. So it really does seem like they can do whatever they want because they're the judge.
Yeah, that's kind of it. That's they're like the final word. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like it seems like there's not really much like basis they have to give for their decisions, in the sense that like, I think over here they have to follow like specific law that's already written before them.
They have to follow the president, right? It seems
it's a bit more structured.
There's a bit of subjectiveness involved.
Yeah,
which can go either way, I guess, because there's certain crimes. For example, I've got no money. I've got a wife and kids. I haven't got a job. They're starving. I went and stole a sandwich from Tesco's. I get arrested and go to prison for it and tell the judge, yes, I've committed offence. And by law, I should get in prison for say like a month. The judge decides not to do that because grey area. They're using their own discretion against what the law says to say, well, you're not a danger to society, and there is a kind of valid reason to why you're doing this. You're not just downright criminal.
Yeah, but I guess that kind of also raises the question of like all the people that have been sent to jail for having like a spliff on them.
Yeah.
So, really anyone with half a brain cell can be like, oh, you're minor.
It's a minor.
Minor. You don't need to go to jail for 20 years, 5 years, whatever years, because really what you're doing, you're putting that person into a system which is most likely going to make them worse when they come out.
Yeah.
You're hindering them from becoming a better person in society by putting them into the system over something so petty.
Yeah, well, fortunately in the UK at least, I think that rarely happens where you get put in prison for drug possession of a spliff. But in America, different story. Like that's one of like their favorite things to do is put black people in jail for like the smallest of payers of crime because it's a business.
Yeah, they get free labor.
the prison industrial complex is a massive prison. It's massive business. It's, you know, they send these prisoners to work for cents, $1 a day, even if they're lucky, for these big corporations that are earning a profit from it. So, you know, we live in a society that's modern day slavery. What they have is slavery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to put you in prison for this crime that isn't
really a crime,
really something to go prison for. But we're going to do it because we get paid by the state per inmate that we have. And also we probably get some sort of commission or percentage of the, you know, the labor that you give to the businesses that we send you out to. Because it's just a fucking business. So any system that profits from someone being in prison is going to be corrupt.
Yeah. And also, you know, there's like the whole element of like how music influences that and how music has influenced that in America over the years. Like in the 90s, what type of music was being pushed, and what
completely different to what it is now.
And what did that result in? It was encouraging people to go out and do these things that which would result in them being in jail.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's kind of like the culture. But if you, you know, I feel like there's a story behind it where, you know, there's probably, if you look at, you follow the money and see who's involved, it will kind of all transpire that the people who are investing in these companies or and were pushing this kind of music were actually the same people profiting off the prisons.
Pretty sure BlackRock's one of the biggest owners of the prison industrial complex in America. So who's to say? Are they profiting from slavery? It sounds like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just the way it is, isn't it? Until there's complete reform in the way that we do justice, that's always going to be the case, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because it's like, Lil Wayne did a rap about it, and it's like, you know, please don't go to white neighborhoods, even though there's crack there. They'll go to the black neighborhoods where there's crack. Why is it? Because they don't want to lock up white people. They want to lock up the black people. You know, what's his name? I cannot tell a lie. Lincoln abolished slavery. Did he? Slavery's still in America. They just remodeled it and marketed it as something else.
Yeah.
Change the word.
Yeah, basically.
Change the word. And, you know, I like to say people are blind to it. I think, you know, people of ethnic backgrounds aren't, because they're the ones that are victim to it. But the communities that it doesn't bother don't care, because they don't talk about it. They don't suffer from it. They don't live in the neighborhoods where the police are bothering them.
Yeah.
They're not getting stopped for random checks because there's a smell of weed coming from the vehicle.
Well, I saw that here this week.
Yeah.
Did you see?
Yeah, I think so.
Was it an Afrobeats artist?
We're in the car and she was saying I can smell weed from the car, but the windows was up.
Yeah.
Brixton.
Yeah, so that was interesting. But I feel like they're doing that a lot over here now. Oh, we can smell drugs on your car. Really, can you?
It's because they ain't got an excuse. Like, as long as they've got probable cause, they can do what they think they can do whatever they want. And most people don't know their rights or don't know the law and are too afraid to say, like, you know, fuck off.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, put it bluntly.
You're here to protect the peace, like, and right now you're disturbing it.
Yeah. So they try and, like, they've got these little clever ins that they'll use. Like, even, like, for example, a police officer knock on your door and they're, we're just, you know, checking a disturbance, blah, blah, blah. They'll lead that with, like, do you mind if we come in? They have no right to come in your house whatsoever without a warrant, but they'll ask you the question, because if you say yes, you've invited them in, and they can then go in and search your house.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They do little tricks like that, because they think they know the law better than we do, which is funny and ironic, because technically they should know the law. We should know our rights.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But they're there to uphold the law and keep the peace, but instead what they're doing is they're manipulating the law to try and create criminals.
They've got targets to hit. They've got absolute targets to hit, and they want to make it look like they're doing a good job so they can keep getting their funding or whatever else it is that goes down. And that's just the reality of
Sergeant
it.
Smith, if he gets 10 more convictions this month, gets a bonus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He wants to get lieutenant one day, so he needs to get another 100 this year to get into the draw.
Yeah.
Shit like that. It's all fucked up. Just don't do anything that's going to get you put in prison, I guess.
I mean, these days, it doesn't take a lot.
Just walking in the street can get you arrested these days. I know. I know. But yeah.
Yeah, there's a funny time.
It's a shame, because you'd like to think that in the age that we live in, that racism doesn't really exist to the level that it did, say, 30 years ago. But I argue this. I think it's probably just the same. The only problem now is that most of it's behind closed doors. back then, you know, if in the 80s, if you're walking down the street as a black man, you get spat on, you get swore at.
And you know what the thing is? You know, the people that were overtly racist then is exactly how you said. They're just, you know, they're not dead. Those people are still around. Their families are still around. It'll be passed on to some extent. And it's behind closed doors now, or it's a bit more covert.
Yeah. Which is worse. I prefer, like, the worst thing for me is someone that will lie to my face. Do you know what I mean? I prefer them. I prefer to hear what they think and feel about me or whatever, and it hurt my feelings. Not that it would, but have the risk of that happening rather than pretending to be my friend but being my enemy behind my back. And that's essentially what, you know, creating these laws against, you know, racism has caused. It hasn't stopped the problem because it's generational. It's, you know, it's institutionalized. It's got nothing to do with the law being that is bad or that is good.
Yeah, it's
these
just
people
how
have been
people
brought
feel.
up this
Yeah,
way.
it's just how they feel.
That's how they feel. And, you know, you can change that, but it's very hard to do so, especially when your granddad was racist, your dad's racist, your uncles are racist, your big brother's racist. Do you know what I mean? All your friends and their families are racist.
Yeah.
Like, and no, it's not, obviously not everyone's like that, but I can imagine how it happens. So who's it? Oh, Timmy, you shouldn't be racist.
Because nobody's born racist.
Well, exactly.
It's taught, it's learned.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
And you don't read it in books, do you? It's not like you don't really even watch TV or anything like that. I mean, obviously, there's example of racism with what they do and how they portray certain people, but even that, they're not teaching you these hateful words and these thoughts.
So they're coming from somewhere. So where are you learning it from? And
it's coming from your environment.
You know what they say? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
And it's like, look what happened to Vini Jr this week. A footballer gets racially abused, gets red carded.
Yeah, that was so mad.
And you know what? Hold my hand up, naive of me, but I didn't realise that the Liga was that racist. I know I knew the Italian league especially is, and, you know, the English league is covert, but at times has been kind of exposed for what it really is as well. But I didn't know the Liga was like that. But it's probably because of you know, it's not our league. But that surprised me. I didn't realise that.
That was pretty bad. The whole situation with him. Like, he's getting tormented by the crowd. He gets destroyed the entire match, and then someone's got him in a little chokehold.
And how he didn't get a red card is just baffling.
That is so wild.
It's like the whole thing was a setup. Do you know what I mean? Like, even the refs were against him.
I just can't believe that. I can only imagine like what it must have been like for him. Like, do you know what I mean? Imagine being in that atmosphere and all you want to do is just play football, and you're just getting absolute hate from all angles.
But this is the interesting thing about, like, I guess football hooliganism, because the people that do that shit are hooligans. They're not there for the love of the game to support their team, because there's black players on the Valencia team. So how are you calling the team on the other side monkey and making monkey noises, but there's black players on your team as well? That doesn't make any sense, does it? So you're racist to other people, but he's all right because he's one of us.
Unless he doesn't score.
Yeah.
And then he is.
Do you know what I mean? God, sucker, shout out. But so it's like perfect example of how racism is still there, but it's swept under the carpet. But you've got these instances where in football, people think it's all right to let out what they actually really think or what they really feel.
Yeah.
And it becomes like a tribal thing where, like, there's, you know, you've got a whole group in the crowd all shouting.
And the thing is, that doesn't just stay in football. Like, you obviously feel that way probably outside of football. Yeah. It's just that you feel in a football environment because other people are there. To do it there. It's so good to do it. And you're in a crowd, so surely you can't get
Everyone else
out.
Is doing it.
Exactly.
Where no one's going to come and stop us. I'm not going to get found out for
Was
what
it
I'm
mob
doing.
mentality as well? That's what. Yeah, that's it.
So they're just, you know, it's sad to see that in the modern game of football, but, you know, is it something that is ever going to stop? Well, only if they actually start to bother, you know, to do something about it. Because in the English league, we've got like the banner saying "Say no to racism," but that doesn't stop shit.
Yeah, and do you know what it is? The interview. There was an interview where the guy was basically saying like, "Oh, this isn't a La Liga issue. This is like this is an issue in society. Like, racism's always existed. It's not started with Vini. Yeah. It's been here for a long time.
Yeah.
So if they know it's been around for so long, why is it taken so this long to actually do something about it? I mean, they've not even done anything about it really, but why hasn't anything effective been done about it? That's the real question. Either you're not taking it seriously because it's not affecting you, or you actually don't care and you're just doing it for optics. Like this whole, like the banner, don't, you know, whatever
Say
it
no
is.
to racism.
Say no to racism and all the other hashtags they do
it's
and
just
shit.
virtue signaling. It
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
mean
absolute
anything.
bullshit.
It's just words.
Yeah.
Like that isn't going to stop racism. You need action. Words
Do you
are just words.
Do you think, you know, whoever is in the crowd, let's call him Jeff in the crowd, is feeling his rage for the black man, and he's going to think, oh no, I mustn't chant this.
I must change my ways.
I must change my ways because say no to racism. Hell no. He's going to chant what he wants to chant, and the people around him are going to be okay with that because they're going to be doing it too.
Yeah.
No one's thinking that ever in their head.
So this is the thing that they've got these flimsy, at least in the UK, these flimsy policies to tackle racism. But the reality is, you need action. You know, it's not the technology that they have in stadiums now these days. It's not hard to pinpoint who's doing these things.
Well, that's what I was about to say, because surely you can see everyone's face. You know who's in the
There's
stadium.
cameras everywhere.
You know, you've got all the information, so you can see who's chanting it. Pick them out and ban them.
Literally.
Ban them.
And I think in the event that it's kind of not just a few people, but say a whole corner, like it seemed in the Real Madrid game, then either you stop the game completely.
I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah, like, you know, stop the game completely, and then they get dealt with. So the stewards go up there, even the police go up there, so you send them and take everyone out that they think's even involved with it. Because that way you're gonna hold the people accountable for what they're doing. They're gonna realize there's repercussions of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Everyone in the stadium that isn't doing it is gonna be pissed off that the game stopped because of what you're doing, and it will encourage people around people that are doing it in the future to say, yo, shut the fuck up, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because you ain't going to stop people from being racist.
That's,
but, you know, keep your thoughts to yourself. I'm not here to hear that shit. Like, this is football.
Yeah.
You know, shit pass, shit cross, you're bloody rubbish, mate. Cool, whatever. That's, you know, that's sportsmanship. That's part of the game. But being personal, especially with racial slurs, it's just pathetic.
Yeah.
And any of them men that are doing it, I bet they would never say it to the players' faces. If
No.
they were 1-on-1, they would never say any of that shit. They would never. I bet in their life they've never seen a black person and gone, ooh, 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 ooh. Do you know what I mean? But all the way up in Rose Z, surrounded by all their boys, big man, oh yes, big man, you, yeah, ooh, 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 ooh. But yeah, like, it's hard. I you know, fortunately, I can't say I've ever been subjected to racial abuse like that. But it's one of them ones you have got to try your best to just rise above it and really just kind of. I realise in the heat at the moment it's easier to say than it is in the heat at the moment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I was going to say,
you're just giving
like,
them what they want by reacting in the way he did.
But what more is he supposed to do?
I know.
Like, look at how the game went.
I know.
There was penalties that he did not get that he should have got. He got chopped left, right, and centre.
I'm surprised he still got ankles.
I know. Like, he doesn't have one broken bone.
No.
He's made of steel. He's actually made of steel.
So yeah, I really think, you know, it's probably the same in all sports, to be honest, especially, you know, war games, football, rugby, whatever, cricket, basketball, everything.
Yeah.
Cricket, yeah. You know, there's all the spectatorship. There's going to be these racial chants and slurs, and, you know, action does need to be taken. And, you know, who knows? Maybe it even gets to the point in football where it's like, cool, if there's any instance of racism happening in the stadiums, then, you know, it can be deemed a finable offence in terms of the team loses points. Because that would be major.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? That would be a major, like 1, 2, maybe even 3 points, depending on how bad it is.
Because you know what? Then it will also encourage the players to tell their fans, pack it in.
Yeah.
Pack it in. We don't want it.
And this is, yeah, exactly. And this is the thing that's most shocking. Vinny's gone up to, you know, the crowd. Clearly, they've said something to him, and this is at nearly the end of the game after that injury time. So 90+ minutes of him being abused, probably the whole game. He's finally thought, "Fuck this!" Gone up to one guy, switched at him. I'm sorry, all them other players, the goalkeeper especially, are next to him. They can hear what's happening, and not one of them turns around and says anything.
Yeah, because they don't care. It doesn't affect them. It's not their problem.
Not one of them.
Like, and also as well, you know, it seems that because the guy was saying it's a societal issue, that it seems like racism is quite big in Spain. So if that's the case, then they probably don't want to be seen siding with the black guy. Because, you know, because even the interview, I don't know who it was interviewing afterwards, and he was like, oh, well, I don't know what they were saying, but I can hear them. Well, you do know what they were saying.
Of course you do.
You can hear them. So how can you
We
hear
can
them?
hear them on the TV.
You're next to them because he was like, oh, was it the goalie? Was it the goalie that was saying it? He's like, oh, I near them. I can see a lot what's happening from the other side, and I can hear them, and I don't know what they're saying, and I don't want to blame them because. And why is he doing that?
Because they're all scared to speak out and like ruffle feathers.
Because they don't want to.
No one. You know what? They don't have people don't have opinions. They're not scared to they're scared to share their opinion and say what they think and feel.
Share their opinion, and then they're shared to stand out. And literally, I don't want to blame anyone. It's just a joke. Yeah. It's actually a joke. When I saw that, I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean you can hear them, but you don't know what they're saying? Of course you know what they're saying, you liar. You absolute liar.
He's a liar.
Literally.
But yeah, I feel for him. And to top it all off, the icing on the cake, he gets a red card, even though he's literally been strangled for at least 10 seconds.
I know, that's
and the other player didn't even get a red card, like, bro.
And it was wild how, like, on some of the videos, you can't see, like, he's been strangled.
They cut it out.
They cut that bit out. They just show him smacking
it, like, oh.
Like, that's manipulation. Media manipulation at its finest.
And there you go. Institutional racism again. Portrays, one set of ethnicity one way and one another. Paint the narrative, the black man's the problem.
Yeah.
Because anyone that didn't bother to look a bit deeper, because we had to find the whole thing. We had to go through a couple of videos to see it.
Yeah.
The first video you see is that. You're going to think, oh, yeah, Vini was the one in trouble. He deserved the red, and look how he's acting.
But really,
you watch the whole thing, and you watch the whole thing. The whole game he's getting chopped. The fans are abusing him the whole game. He snaps in the 90th minute, goes over to them. The other players start reacting and shouting at him like he's the one that's doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And then one of them chokeholds him. So he turns around and slaps him and gets a red card for it.
That's just, it just makes no sense.
The series of events that led up to that moment is completely against this man. It's like, why has everyone forsaken me?
Literally.
But I have God on my side that will not falter. That is poor Donny. But you know what? I rated it at the end.
I was just about to say, I rate him.
At the end, he's like laughing and he's just like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's exactly how I'd react, man. Like, this is just ridiculous. Fuck all y'all sheep. You're all NPCs.
Literally.
And it's just one of them ones, isn't it? You can't. Sometimes you can't change the game, but you can just laugh at it. Like, you have to just laugh at it.
Yeah.
Because it's that ridiculous.
I just hope that the other players take a stand and do something. Like, surely there's other black players in that league. Yeah, and surely they should all
black players on the Real Madrid team.
So surely all of them should just be like, you know what, actually, we're not playing.
They ain't got the ball.
We're not playing.
The thing, you know what the saddest thing is about footballers? They're just as controlled as celebrities are, if not maybe more so. They're told when to train, where to go, what to eat, like what to do. They can't do anything. They literally can't think for themselves. Do you know what I mean? And if ever they say something out of turn, they get fucking fined, punished for it. Even can get dropped if it's bad enough. So they have a script that they have to follow. You're this player. This is what you do. This is what you say. Don't speak about this way to the club. Don't speak about this way to your players. Don't be seen doing
Ronaldo
this.
Got in so much trouble.
Yeah, serious. That's serious though.
He was that, I don't care.
Serious.
I'm spilling all the beans.
That's what it's like, man. It's like the club becomes your life, and that's just how it is. But in exchange for you being a footballer, having loads of money, but up until the point they retire, their life's quite controlled. Like, it's not, most boys grow up wanting to be footballers, but the reality is it ain't all glamorous. It's not as glamorous as you think.
Yeah, for sure.
It really isn't. Don't get me wrong. It's it'd be great, but at the same time, there's a lot of fucked up shit, man. And for that same reason, these other players that are black as well on the same team don't say nothing for the same reason because. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's quite sad actually. Like, where's the community? Where's where's community? Where's unity? Where's it all at? What's happening?
Just linking back to the prison statement earlier. This is another form of slavery. They get paid a lot more and they've got some sense of freedom, but they have no control of their lives. They can't say what they want. They can't do what they want. They're high value slaves. They work for the club. We send you to war against another club. You try and score goals and earn us points so we can win the league, get more sponsorships, get more brand deals, get more funding, and we'll pay you for it. Yeah, it's a job.
I feel like most jobs are modern day slavery, really. Well, I always joke that the Lanyard's like the modern day slavery.
Fuck. One of them ones.
Literally, like, that's sorry, guys.
It's true. It's true.
That's literally what I used to think. Like when I used to wear one, I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? Voluntary servitude.
I never used to wear mine. I kept it G.
Literally.
I kept it so G. Mine's in my back pocket. You've got to wear it around your... No, I fucking don't, G. It's swag. You know my name?
Oh, you try to like, hang it out of your pocket?
Yeah. Oh, fucking
top banter.
It really is. But you know what else is top banter, though?
What?
My Donny Mizzy.
Oh, he's actually... You know what? This kid has taken the internet by storm, and the level of arrogance is so amusing.
It's the audacity of it.
It's the audacity, the level of arrogance.
Imagine we're just sat here chilling doing our podcast and some Donny just walks through our front door.
Like, you can
sits down. It's funny because we're talking about racism, and then you got shit like this. Obviously, he's a young black man, and it's just like, bro, you're fanning the flame for why racism exists in the first place. Look what you're doing for our people.
You are not helping our people at
really
all.
Not.
The thing is, you know what what's one of the funniest things I thought, which I thought was so wild. I don't know what possessed him or what was going through his mind. I'd actually genuinely love to have a conversation with him just to see, because up until this point, I think he's nuts. I think he needs to shrink. But he walked into a person's house in an affluent area, and the lady's like, James, can you come to the front door, please? James. And he's like, James, can you come to the front door, please? Walks into the house, sits down, starts recording. Obviously, he's recording the whole thing, but tries to put his feet on the table.
There's no feet on the table, bro.
Like, what? This is not even your house. Like, it's one thing walking into their home. It's another thing, like just acting like it's yours. That was funny. I was like, what is he doing? But what an interesting situation. And, it was interesting because if on some of these posts you read the comments, a lot of the comments are saying that, he's very lucky that this is in America. Yeah. And that's actually fact.
For that in America.
He would not, that TikTok would have not made it anywhere.
You get shot straight up.
He would have got jailed for trespassing. Yeah. He would have got shot because they allowed guns. Yeah. It would have not ended well for him.
Yeah, but you know what this proves though? Like, forget the whole, you can shoot someone on sight in America, but in Britain, right? People are pussies. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Someone walks into your yard. I wouldn't even ask the question of what you're doing here. The first thing I'm thinking is because I'm thinking in my head, you're trying to rob us, and I've caught you. Do you know what I mean? There's no time for explanations. Oh, sorry, I thought this is the wrong house. I thought you're getting punched in the face. Yeah. Like one thump, boom, maybe two if you don't go down. But I'm hitting you so hard and making sure the first one hits. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what you're doing. You might have a knife on you. You're coming, and like, I'm not being funny. This Donny's black as well, so there's a profile.
There's a profile, and
you know what I mean? And you fit it. You're wearing a tracksuit. You're
and there was a couple of them.
There's a couple of you.
Yeah.
The first thing I'm shocked that the woman has let you walk to the door.
Yeah, you know what?
James, and then he comes out like, my kid's here, the little toddler, like. Where's the woman's instinct?
I literally, this drove me insane because I was like, I'm sorry, what are you doing? There's 3 random people walking into your home that you don't know, and you're calling your husband, run to the front door and go protect your child. Is it good?
Yeah, it's good, yeah. And I get it, people say, yeah, but, they were males and she's a woman and, she's probably scared, but... There's got to be a level of
maternal instinct.
Like your kid's life could potentially be on the line here, and that split second where, let's say they were actually intruders, right? You've let them get into the house, and then James comes to the stair. Well, unfortunately, it could have gone a different way. You could have, intervened. James would have heard and then come out. They wouldn't have got in the house. But them getting in the house puts your kid in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Like people don't think, and this is the whole thing. Like this James fellow is just like, please just get out my house, please. I've got kids. Throw him out the house. All right, don't hit him. Throw him out the house, bro.
Get out. There was no aggression in his voice either. No, nothing. And I don't know if that's just because he was trying to keep the situation calm, because obviously it was 3-1 and there's kids about and stuff. So I kind of get it from that perspective. But also it's like,
But there weren't even assertiveness.
That's what I mean. There was nothing. There was nothing in his voice. It was just like, oh, this kid's here. This is my house, sir. What are you doing here? Get the heck out.
And that's the problem that's what I was getting at with Britain. we're we're a nation of pussies. Everyone's too scared to say what they think and feel.
Yes.
And in the in face with confrontation, we're fucking stutter bums again, like deer in headlights.
Yes.
Don't know what to do. Oh, I'll just be polite about
But
the
top
situation.
keyboard warriors.
But I'll call you monkey noises in the crowd. Do you know what I mean? Oh, I'll call you online. Like, blurt that bit out, editor. Where are the editors? Like, just crazy shit like that. People will get rude to you. Oh, blah, 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 call you all the names under the sun for this. Not even in a racist way, but everyone's got big yarak online. And then when it comes to real life stuff,
yeah.
And it's like, no wonder the government's running rings around you all, telling you that you need to get jabbed 100 million times and stay inside and wear a mask because there's an imaginary thing outside might kill you. Because
don't see your nan, even though she might be dying soon because we've told you to stay in the house. It's
ridiculous.
So stupid.
It's ridiculous. But this Mizzy guy, I think when we first jumped onto TikTok, I see him when he started off or nearabouts, and he was like doing funny stuff like jumping over the till in McDonald's and stuff, or just walking in and pretending he's like an employee. Obviously, it's escalated very quickly. But his content essentially is like,
him doing mad shit.
Him doing mad shit and kind of like, I don't give a fuck attitude.
Literally doing it for the gram.
And that's what it is. It's I think there's a level of like, fuck you all.
Yes, because there was a video where which was funny. After the video of him walking to the house went viral, he made a video which was really weird because his friends just stood in the back like some sort of weird like it creature, just like staring. Anyway, he's like made a video saying like, oh, you guys are all going mad about me walking to people's houses, but what if I told you I liked it? What if I told you I love it? Like just being really weird.
Yeah.
Which was strange. Like, why did you feel the need to do that video?
Yeah, like kind of sociopathic.
That's what I'm saying. I would genuinely love to know like what goes through his head, because he seems a little bit nuts.
And it's like feeding into that whole mentality, but at the same time, like, you're just doing it for clout, bro.
Yeah, and I feel like
I mean?
and I feel like there's a lot of this now. I feel like a lot of the youth are just doing it for the likes. They're doing it for the clout.
Yeah.
And they will do the maddest shit just to get seen online.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
You know what it is? This is actually a funny little parallel that I'm going to draw now, but it's like the modern day I want to be a drug dealer. Kids want to be drug dealers because they think like, it's all big cash, fast cars, hot chick, gangbang lifestyle. It's all cool and that, because they realize that kind of doing those actions, getting involved with drugs, kind of breeds that life. And now in the digital age, attention's a commodity.
Yeah.
And it's essentially to some people as well a drug. Do you know what I mean? Likes and comments and shares and follows is a drug. So they've identified this whole entire market. But rather than like, figuring out how can I, get attention, but in a positive spin, educating people, entertaining people, whatever, inspiring people, they've gone for I'm just going to desperately do whatever the fuck I can to get attention.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's a very like...
I feel like the girls in this age are getting naked online and doing OnlyFans. And I feel like this is what the guys are doing. They're just doing like mad shit. But it's not like jackass cool. It's just like disturbance.
Yeah.
It's just weird shit.
It's just like, bro, why, bro?
Yeah, like just allow it. There's no need for you to be doing that. And there's other, like, you could get so creative if you wanted to, which wouldn't involve anyone else or walking into someone's house. If you really wanted to put your mind to it, you could.
No, like just look at Crackhead TV.
Funny.
Shameless plug. So yeah, like Donnie's definitely got some issues up in the head, and it's probably like a poster for a lot of the youth these days and what they're doing online. Because my initial thoughts towards TikTok before I actually used it was, I'm never going to use it. I know it's fucking trash. I've heard that it's literally just like tits and ass and ridiculous dancing and stuff. But the truth is actually far from that. It is whatever you watch, and you can, it's an algorithm. It gives you what you interact with the most. So there's tons of educational things on there, tons of things that are entertaining but in a positive way, and a mixture of the two.
Yeah.
Whatever you want is on there, so you can program it for that stuff. But the shame is, this guy's blowing up, so clearly his audience are people that go on TikTok and just watch all this crap,
which is a lot of them.
Which is a lot of people. And then furthers the point, and this is like what the youth are interested in at the minute. And it's such a shame because they've got such a powerful tool in their hands that if they actually used it right,
like they are in China. Like there's none of this type of content over in China. Like all the videos are educational,
Yeah.
and you know, it's that kind of vibe over there. There's none of this like clickbait type of stuff.
No.
So that's interesting. So it's going to be interesting to see where society goes in like 20 years time when these kids grow up and have to.
Shit.
Yeah, it's you know.
You can see where it's going. That's why I'm so on like getting out of the West, because
West is
I can
over.
I can just see how society was 10 years ago, and honestly,
10 years ago was bad.
10 years ago was bad, but it's nothing to how I imagined it would be now. Things have just happened so fast. It's actually scary, and you can just see where it's going.
Yeah.
So like, you know, these teenagers are going to be in their 20s in 10 years time. They're adults. Some of them are young adults.
Some of them are like
Do you know what I mean?
17,
yeah,
18.
some of them are young adults as it is.
Yeah.
So they're going to be in their 30s in 10 years, late 20s. So they're going to be in the workforce. Where are they getting employed?
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
What are they doing? Metaverse.
And also, like, you know, I feel like a lot of this TikTok, social media, it's breeding people with like it's almost like a mental illness. Like their addiction to it, their addiction to get likes and views. You know, it's breeding a lot of like narcissism, a lot of crazy people. And like there was the video that I saw in Wembley in London where like kids just started kicking cars. They just started attacking cars in public
just because.
for no reason. They're like cars are just in the road, you know, people are in them. And they're like, there's a Ocado van, they're like kicking the Ocado van, and they're like running up other cars and jumping on them whilst people are inside them. It's like, why are you doing this? Like, what has caused you to behave this way?
It's mental.
But it's, you know, there's an element of mental illness because nobody's saying just start attacking someone's car for no reason.
It's the like you said earlier, it's the mob mentality. All it takes is one person's to start it off, and all of a sudden everyone's doing it because they all get a bit brave. It all catches on. It's all exciting. Adrenaline's going. You know, they're getting a hit of dopamine at the same time.
And I feel like the element of social media and the fact that it'll be seen by other people and it, you know, you'll get clout for it is like a catalyst for it.
Yeah,
it's like an added element. It's like, oh well, that's going to happen too. So there's like lots of elements to this whole situation and how society is being molded by things like social media and their external, you know, or their environment.
Facts.
So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes because, you know, I'm intrigued to see where these people are going to get employed, what they're going to do with their lives, where they're going to go and what their kids are going to be like. Because I can't imagine it's much better than what they are, you know. Kind of what we were saying earlier on about racism. The apple doesn't fall that far from the tree.
Yeah.
So, you know, where are the kids going to
Well, this is the interesting thing, you know. I think by the way it looks like society is going, there's not going to be jobs for these people anyway. They're trying to push us into a universal basic income anyway. So it all makes sense. Oh, look all these useless eaters, as they like to call them in the WF, you know. They're breeding these humans that are technically useless. So yeah, they can be retrained and reskilled and re-educated, but look what path they're pushing them down. Look how they're programming their minds. They're programming them for degeneracy. They're programming for idiocy. They're programming them to be just like shells. They've got no opinions. They don't have any morals. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So if someone that doesn't give a fuck about their own life isn't going to care about anything else going on, are they? So we can do whatever we want to these people because they don't care.
Yeah.
We'll just give you money, shut up, and they're going to do it.
And you know what else as well? They're making it so expensive to go to university now if you decide to go.
Another scam.
Which is also a scam. But also the other thing that they're pushing at the same time is apprenticeships. So, you know, my brother went to a school in Leeds that was like, you know, quite good for like engineering and stuff. Like they had like lots of, I don't know, workspace and stuff for it and like stuff related to that. And he wanted to go into engineering at uni, and the school I think is owned by Walmart. So the school's owned by
America Walmart.
Yeah. So it's Asda over here. So they've got like, because you know,
Tesco's, is it?
No, it's Asda.
Walmart Asda.
It's Asda.
Ah.
So I think that's what the school's own. Or they've got a share in it, or they've invested in it, or whatever. So it's what they were pushing, and they were encouraging my brother to do an apprenticeship. They were like, "Oh, do an engineering apprenticeship." You know, because they've got classes that are based around it, so it shows them similar. It's similar to like, oh, you'll be doing work like similar to what you've been doing in your classes, like the hands-on stuff, or you're building stuff. And essentially, that's what they were encouraging everyone in the school to do, encouraging them not to go to university, encouraging them to do apprenticeships. Why do they want them to do apprenticeships? So they can come and work for them in their companies
for cheap.
Yeah, of course. Apprenticeships pay like £2 an hour.
£2 something an hour.
It's
isn't it?
shit.
It's slavery.
And then there's another element of it. So, you know, and imagine you're in a situation where, like, you know, like going to university is expensive. even like, and even if you are living at home, it's still expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say you move away from home, which a lot of people do tend to do, and often it's probably a good thing to do because it gives you a bit more experience of life. But it's really expensive. So it's expensive now to go to university. It's everything, cost of living is expensive. And, you're going to end up in a lot of debt. You're probably going to have a job throughout the entire of university unless you've got wealthy parents. So, you're trying to like weigh up the options. And you're like, oh, I could just make money now. And the way that these adults are pitching it to these kids, like they were very, very persuasive. Like they were so persuasive that my brother was like, oh, well, the school's telling us to do apprenticeships, and like started telling us how they're pitching it to him. And we were like, absolutely not.
Because they're getting funded for it as well, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same thing, they get commission for it, they got targets, they send a certain amount of students, oh, we'll give you this grant and that grant.
100%. Because the school's a lovely school. It's a really nice school.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting that like that's what they're encouraging you to do. They're not encouraging you to go to university, and that's wild because I've never heard of that. When I was at school, they were encouraging you to go to university.
That was like the topic.
Yeah,
it was like, if you don't go to university,
if you didn't want to go to university, they would call your parents and say your child doesn't want to go to university. Do you know this?
Legit.
Do you know this?
Legit.
How can you speak to your child because your child could do really well in life? But they're not really doing that now. Now they're trying to push you to do an apprenticeship, which obviously benefits the investor of the school or like the person who owns the school.
Interesting.
So things are going in a very interesting way. So
then again, it's what? So this school is obviously owned by Walmart then. At least in this sense, it seems they've got probably shares in the school and they're able to, influence policy there.
Yeah, exactly.
Because arguably which one's best for the kid, I don't know, but one's getting pushed over the other for the interest of Asda.
But the thing is, if like, for example, this thing came out where they were saying that, oh, you can actually be a doctor now without going to university. You're just doing an on-the-job apprenticeship for what, 25 years?
Is that how long it is?
I don't know, but either it was, it was a long time. It was a long time.
Going to the hospital, I've cut open my leg. Oh, cool. We're just gonna get the apprentice doctor. Don't worry, he's 6 years on the job. Comes in. Oh yeah, you've cut your leg. I think it's gonna need stitches, but I don't know how to do that yet. What do you mean, sir?
But it makes no sense. Like, how are you bringing these people into a workforce? A workforce where you need to be really trained, and people's lives depend on it.
It's like the longest degree you can do, isn't it? 5 years.
5 years, yeah. So that's interesting. That's something they're trying to bring in, and I think in that way as well. If you're in this field, and let's say you've got to be a qualified doctor at the end of it, you've got to train for 10 years or whatever on apprenticeship. You're getting paid absolute peanuts. Where are you
even going to live?
You're going to have to work so many hours, and you're going to have to do that job for a very long time, which means they've got you.
They've locked you in.
Because
there's no point you getting halfway and being like, actually, this isn't for me. And you're going to have to rough it
out.
Exactly.
So they can dictate, or they can assess like, oh, cool, we've got this many people living on this much, and it gives them another element or another tool to like, build society in a way that they want it to be built.
Yeah.
Manipulating people into doing things.
Yeah, and yeah, pretty much. Here's my speculative hat. These doctors, for example, that are going to be on apprenticeships, when they roll out UBI, Universal Basic Income, right? There's going to be the option for certain people to do skilled jobs still. They will get paid for it. It's going to go on top of what they get through UBI. So they have a bit more fun coupons than everyone else. But is it going to be that much more?
Well, this is the thing.
Do you know what I mean?
And why not just give more funding to the universities, or more make it easier for these people to get into the 5-year degree?
Because that would mean less profits for the universities.
Because it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous that everything's about profit and not creation and building.
That's the thing. Capitalism, is rife. We're experiencing a society that's going through the negative effects of capitalism, where it's all about profits and centralization of the power of each industry that they're in. Education, for example. It was 30 years. After 30 years, if you don't pay off your degree, it gets wiped. Now it's 40 years.
So you're going to be basically paying a graduate tax till you
retire.
Providing they don't move the retirement age.
It's not graduation tax. It's just a debt you're paying back.
But it might as well be a graduate tax.
No, but we're not going to call it that. Bleep that out. They don't want the people to know. They don't want. Shut up. SWAT's going to come through in a minute. You know what I mean? Heard you're talking about graduation tax. Don't let the people know about that. It's not a graduation tax. It's just you're paying back the loan that we gave you to go to university to get a better job, which works out the same if you didn't go to university because that tax that we give you. But But yeah, 40 years. So essentially, you go to uni at 18, graduate at 21, from 21 to 61. You're going to be paying that off for the rest of your life. So it's on top of the tax and national insurance as well, which is
Yeah.
probably going to be much higher than it is right now.
Yeah. It's getting interesting. And you also pay, I don't know if this was always a thing, but there's also a thing called apprentice levy or something that comes out as well now, which is money that goes towards apprenticeships.
Oh. So they're really pushing apprenticeships.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I remember seeing it time ago on one of my things.
Yeah, it seems that apprenticism will be the next kind of thing. There's the middle class is being eradicated. You've got the haves and the have-nots, right?
So everyone, yeah.
So the haves, the people that can afford to go university, because I don't know how people can afford, like you say, to go to university, pay for their dorms or wherever it is they're staying, pay for their food as well and everything. That must be like, unless their parents are paying for them, it must be near impossible.
Well,
because you can get a part-time job. That's not paying for all of that.
It was expensive. Like when I went to uni, I didn't stay in halls. I got an apartment, but like it would have worked out the same.
Yeah.
And I worked, so that's why I had the money to be able to afford where I live. But like the money that I got from the government, that covered the rent.
There you go.
That covered the rent, and that was it.
There you go.
So to live day to day, I had to work for it. Yeah, I had to work for that.
Which you're a full-time student technically. You shouldn't really. That shouldn't be a thing that you do. The whole point is, all right, you're gonna go into further education, study, and then come out and get a job that earns more. And the benefit for the government is you pay more tax.
Yeah.
Simples. But now it seems it's completely flipped on its head. And it's just like, how can we squeeze more money out of these fuckers?
Literally.
And, and kind of imprison you in the system, because it's like you come out of university with this big debt bill that most people don't even know what they signed up for. I didn't know what I signed up for.
Oh, I read it.
when I went to uni, I look at it now, I'm like, oh, these fuckers got me.
Yeah.
These fuckers got me good here. And so there's going to be the haves and the have-nots. The haves are going to go to university and just further indebt themselves and just entrap themselves in the system of slavery, but on this different tier where they earn a bit more, but they get taxed for it anyway. So they're just doing the cycle with a higher tax bracket essentially. And you've got the people that can't afford to go to uni, they'll be offered apprenticeships. Oh, here you go, don't worry, you can go in this 5-year apprenticeship, this 10-year apprenticeship, this 25-year apprenticeship. It's not going to pay you as much, but you can afford to do it, you see?
Yeah.
Because, we're going to pay you rather than you have to pay. And then at the end of it, you're going to get this job. So, yeah, great. Say you go to do a trade, that's a great apprenticeship to do. At the end of it, you'll have a good skill and that's in high demand. But that time in between, you're getting paid pittance for what you're actually doing. And who's to say? And it's like, say 2 years in, you don't like it.
And then you're stuck doing it.
Because not everyone.
And what else are you going to do? Because you're not
skilled or trained or educated
in anything else.
So you either go and jump on another apprenticeship or you take a low-paying job.
Yeah.
And that's how it's just the wage trap, the employment trap.
It actually is.
It's fans. What can you do?
Save up some money, buy a farm, and skedaddle.
Yeah, you like that one too, Eleanor. You know what else I see as well today?
Go on.
This plus size model, complaining about being discriminated against because the aisles on her flight were not big enough for her. But when no disrespect, but the word plus size, it wasn't cutting it.
Was it a stretch?
Yo, she had to walk sideways down the aisle, babe, like sideways. And I'm just thinking, what exactly are you being discriminated against? You're this way because you eat too much and don't exercise. I'm sorry. Like that aisle, for example, isn't wide enough for, say, a wheelchair. Let's say someone that can't walk uses a wheelchair. I don't see people that are actually paraplegics complaining about I'm being discriminated against because the aisle in the plane isn't big enough for my wheelchair for me to wheel down. And they actually have a disability that is something that can actually be discriminated against. And she's got the audacity to say that she feels that she's been discriminated.
You know what it is? I think this rise of body positivity has gone a little bit out of hand, because the thing is, I think it's great to be body positive. It's great to accept your body for the way that it is, but it's also great to be realistic about why your body looks the way that it is and if it's healthy. And I feel like at the minute, a lot of brands and a lot of marketing materials in relation to this, or a lot of campaigns that are done, are trying to be inclusive of like different body types, and in doing so they're almost like glamorizing
Being obese.
obesity, which is
Yeah.
actually, it's not really cool, because that's an actual problem, that's an actual health problem, and that's probably something that they need help with, and you're basically convincing this person that actually you don't need help. Let's
It's
just
fine.
It's
Accept we
fine.
accept you the way you are, which accept people the way they are, whatever. But there's an element of like, yo, this isn't good or healthy for you. Don't pretend that it is.
Yeah,
Like, love yourself. Let's work
exactly.
through it, but don't stay as you are because that's not good for you. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, flip it the other way, right? Let's say there's minor size models who are people that
are
heroin
super.
addicts
Yeah,
and
exactly.
have anorexia and eating dysfunctions and
That's
things
not.
like
And
that,
when that
right?
and the thing was, when size zero became a thing, at the time it was trendy,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
now they look back at it and
And
like,
it's
oh
like,
my
yo,
gosh,
what
that
were we
was
doing?
yeah, that was so wrong. Like, everyone's so ill.
Yeah,
Like, these people need help. They're bulimic. They're
yeah,
anorexic. They've got all
exactly,
these
exactly.
illnesses, and like it was being glamorized. And I feel like this is the other side of
Of
that.
course it is. Overeating, undereating, they're two sides of the same coin. It's a mental illness.
Yeah,
You only do either or because there's something else going on emotionally. Do you
yeah,
know
for
what I'm saying?
sure.
So even the word plus size, like as far as I knew growing up, there's small, medium, large, extra small, XXL, extra small. So if you're bigger or smaller, them sizes already exist. What does plus size mean? That I'm sorry, that isn't a size. That's they've renamed you're obese and we don't have the size for you, and we're going to call it plus size and plus size models. What is that?
It's marketing, baby.
Like it's like how do we make money out of this group of people here that have something wrong with them? We'll rename obese and call it plus size, and then we'll make a whole thing about body positivity, which people will get behind because it is actually something that people should get back it. But we're gonna butcher it.
And we're gonna make money out of it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's
Yeah.
what it's all about. And they're exploiting these people. Like, I'm sorry, these plus size models, they're not models. You're actually being used to push an agenda.
Yeah, and I just also feel like this like obsession with inclusivity is almost leading to insanity.
Almost. Is there?
It is.
It's been
Okay.
there, gone
It's
back, gone around the world a few times, and
okay. It's
I
reached the point of
I can't
insanity.
find my crazy.
I didn't read the full thing. I just saw the headline and I was like, I actually can't be dealing with this today. But Adidas have basically got a man to model, man with a penis, which you can see in
I would
the.
expect a man to have a penis.
Okay, it's true. It's basically a man modeling a swimming costume for women.
Huh.
So, and again, didn't read the full heading, like didn't read the full article, because I was just like, I can see what's happening here. I read the headline and I was like, interesting. Had a look on social media to see what people's feelings are about this, and most women were in the comments complaining that this is designed for women.
Why isn't a woman
Why
wearing
is
it?
a woman not wearing it? If you want to sell me a product, you need to put someone that looks
That
like
looks
me
like
in
me in
it.
it.
How am I
That's
supposed to know what that's going to look like on my body shape? I do not have a
it's
penis.
marketing 101, isn't it? Identify your target audience and market in a way that they can see themselves in however the marketing
but
campaign is.
but this is where it's got to with a lot of this like inclusivity. I feel like everyone has a right to be included, but not at the expense of someone else losing their space. And I
Hmm.
feel like that's what's happening in society at the minute,
Hmm.
and it's happening a lot in this inclusivity, under this inclusivity like term.
Accept and include everyone. Everyone's worthy. Everyone's
It's women
equal.
who are losing their place.
Mostly,
in
yeah.
in you know in so many scenarios, in so many brand deals, you see it's like a transgender who's the face of it, and it's on a lot of things. Like, there's actually not a lot of women the face of things so much anymore, because everyone's trying to do this inclusivity thing, which
Mm.
isn't wrong, but it's taking up space of women.
Mm.
And I feel like the swimsuit is like the peak of that, because how
Yeah.
are you selling a swimsuit to women but a man's wearing it? And if I don't know if the person identifies as a man or a woman, I feel like that's irrelevant because of the product that you're selling.
Yeah.
You can't get a man to wear a bra and try to sell it to women.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry.
Facts.
So yeah, it's. I feel like that's kind of where society's. that's what we're peaking right now, and it's not looking good. It's not really making any sense, and I feel like people really need to just think just think about what's going on and think of like, you know, how else can we include these people, and how can we stop making other people feel excluded? Because that's kind of where it's becoming
yeah,
now.
it's just funny because like in the quest to be politically correct and be inclusive of everyone and understand everyone's feelings and, you know, not let anyone feel excluded, there's people that like were there first who, because of what you're doing, you're excluded.
Yeah, exactly.
But you did completely disregard that as even happening. It's not even a conversation. It's not even.
You're not allowed to talk about it because
yeah.
you're transgender or you're gender or whatever.
God forbid.
You know, like that's ridiculous. I'm sorry. Nobody hates those people. I don't hate those people. You don't hate those people. We're just
100%.
saying that, you know, that it shouldn't be. They should not get space, you know, by excluding someone else. That does not make sense. Everyone should be included. And it's kind of turning into a situation.
You're replacing the problem with creating the same problem somewhere else.
Yeah, but you're saying shut up about it.
Yeah.
Like, shut up, don't talk.
Yeah, and it's like you can argue it's a level of fascism. Do you know what I mean? Like my way or the highway. What you're saying is BS. I'm not listening to that.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're gonna disregard it, and we're gonna start calling you names and labeling you as this phobe and that ick and whatever.
Because they don't want you to talk about it, and they want to push their agenda or whatever agenda it is, and you know, it's just.
It's so crazy because I feel like, you know, us millennials, we've gone through the period of, you know, human history where everything has been about men. You know, we were the face of everything, men, on TV, leaders of this. You never saw a female sportsperson on TV, for example. And then we've gone from, you know, maybe in our late teens to like women being celebrated, and you know, you had Princess What's-Her-Face all over, and you got Meghan Markle this, and you got, you know, the Olympics, all the females in there. What's her name? Jessica, the runner.
Don't know Jessica. I know Simone Biles there.
We'll go with that one. And you know, you got all these women that have started to be celebrated, put on the front covers of magazines, getting sponsorship deals, really getting given the limelight for like their craft, what they're good at, what they're doing, what they stand for. And there's been like this push. And this was like the start of the feminism movement at the beginning.
Well, yeah.
And then that's kind of all switched now. Feminism's become this thing of like, fuck men, hate men.
Yeah, and it's like, where has the real feminists gone? Like, where have you disappeared to? Because, like, am I wrong in thinking that this is not okay? Like, it doesn't make sense. Make it make sense to me. Or if there's something I'm missing, I'd love to know.
For real.
Because, you know, why are all the feminist women quiet about like things like this happening and women actually losing their place in situations like this? Because should a woman not be modeling that? Like, I'm genuinely, this is a genuine question. Are we wrong?
I'm on the side of fence of you.
Are we wrong for thinking this? I would really like to know. Like, I would love to know the thought behind it, and I would love to know, like, what the mission is with doing that. Like, what is it that you're trying to achieve by doing that? Because it's not sell the product to women who it's for.
It's just disenfranchising women, really.
Yeah, I kind of feel like women are kind of being eroded a little bit. You know, they're starting to make babies in test tubes and in labs now. They have the ability to do it. So it's kind of like they're slowly taking away like what it is to be a woman and like little parts of our identity, and basically telling them to shut up and not talk about it. And, you know, the feminist movement has arguably been hijacked, and it's all about hating men. At least that's how it seems, which again doesn't make sense because, you know, it doesn't make any sense.
That's not what the movement originally was about.
I'm like trying to like even justify what they're thinking, and I can't. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to see where things are going, and you know, it's going to be really interesting to see where things are in 5 years' time and in 10 years' time, and like what the female or what it is to be a woman then. So
I think that the trajectory where that goes is where we allow it to go. I think, you know, for if people don't speak their minds and actually say what they really feel, because there's people that are scared to say the things that we say, and we're not, and I'm not, you know, I don't believe we're saying anything out of turn. We're just seeing what we see as the truth and saying it how it is. But if people don't stand up for that, then we'll let people run away with themselves, and they'll get away with what they're doing, and eventually this won't be the end of it. Do you know what I mean? It won't just stop with women. Eventually it will happen to men as well. Do you know what I mean? It will happen to this race and that age and everything. Where there is a label that can divide us further from each other, something will slide in and it will do just that. It's like a crack in a wall. If you don't sort it out, eventually it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until the whole thing falls down. And that's what they want us to do. They want us to end up just singular bricks on the floor, not together making this big strong wall, because they want us divided. They want us arguing with ourselves about what this means and what that is, and all this bullshit that is actually irrelevant. When actually just step away from everything and look at everything as it is. There's man and woman. There's no fucking races. That's just made up as well. Whatever your beliefs are, your beliefs. Just don't hurt anyone. Don't hurt anything, and crack on.
Yeah.
It's really not that hard.
It's interesting because, like, yeah, when I had a look on social media, everyone's kicking off about it, and I feel like people are voicing how they feel about this. But it's like, what's coming of it? Because I don't think these companies care. I think they just care about they just care about like ticking the box.
But you know what? The companies that, I can't remember the figure at the top of my head, but Disney's basically in big trouble because they've obviously done the saying, go woke and go broke.
Yeah.
Disney, they did a film that flopped in the box office, and it's basically about two boys that were together. So it flopped, and yeah, they've lost tax breaks in Florida. Obviously, California, they've taken away their tax breaks because of it, and their market cap is like dropped. I can't remember the exact figure, but like they lost billions. And there's a few other companies, I can't remember off the top of the head, that are in similar situations where they've taken this whole woke direction, and people are starting to they're starting to talk with their money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know what else is interesting? In like in other parts of the world, like Thailand, for example, there's transgenders there. There's people who identify differently, but I don't see any of this stuff happening over there, or like this being pushed. Like everyone just cracks on.
It's just exactly.
And why can't they just be like that over here?
Do you know why it is? In Thailand, they have classed for a very long time transgenders as a gender. So in Thailand, there's 3 genders: there's man, female, and transgender. And it's as simple as that. Cool, you identify as transgender, you can be that. You know what? We'll have that gender then. Cool, if that's what you want to do. And they just crack on with it. No one's arguing. No one's bickering.
They're not trying to take up the ladies' space. They're not trying to take up the
transgender people aren't trying to be a woman. They're not trying to be a man. They're just, I'm transgender.
Yeah.
Bitch. Do you know what I mean? Like that. And cool. Thank you. That's what you want to be, then be it. But don't try and say you're something else. My dog's not telling me it's a cat. It's not meowing at me pretending to be a cat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I just, and there's not really like, because even in other countries as well, like there's transgenders in India, there's transgenders in Pakistan, there's like, they're everywhere. But I feel like it's just a West thing. It's a thing in the West where they're just like shoving it in your face every 2 seconds. They're trying to do all these things. And in doing so, kind of what I was saying, it's reaching a point of insanity.
Yeah.
And,
they're just very good at using these topics to cause division. That's why in the East it doesn't really happen, but the propaganda they push out about certain things, they know how to market in a way that gets people talking, but in a negative way. And it doesn't open up the dialogue to have an adult conversation. It's more like, oh, your idea is wrong and my idea is right. No, then it becomes an argument where no discussion needs to be an argument. You can just talk to each other. You don't even have to agree at the end of it. You can still disagree after you've shared your opinions.
Yeah.
But that's fine. But people somehow can't accept that. It's like, if you don't accept my way of thinking, then I'm going to argue with about it. You can't just like listen to their point of view, tell them yours. Oh, cool, we disagree. Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. If someone doesn't think the same way as you, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You shouldn't give a fuck what other people think of you or about anything else. Just let them crack on with what you think, and you crack on with yours. You don't want them to tell you how you think, so why are you telling them how you think and how they should, that they should think the same? Doesn't make any sense. It's hella controlling, if you ask me.
Plot thickens, if you ask me.
But yeah, that's what the crack is.
That is what the crack is.